Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another live Q&A. My name is Mark Holthe, Canadian immigration lawyer, and this is the Canadian Immigration Institute. I was hoping to do Instagram today, but once again, it's just so complicated. I wish I could just stream it out to everything, but unfortunately, that's not the case, so we've got to roll with what we've got. But those of you who are listening on the Canadian Immigration Podcast, hello to you. Those of you who are connected with Facebook or YouTube, which is probably one of the most common areas. We've got YouTube and we have LinkedIn. So shout out to all of you guys. And I welcome all of you into our amazing little live Q&A that we do. So let's see who's tuning in. We've got Uzair here who's tuned in. And actually, just give me a second here. I better get rid of that so that we can see Uzair. And we'll enlarge this a little bit. So we've got Uzair here and nice. We've got the YouTubers connecting in from Vancouver. Great to see you. Okay, I like this. Armand's connected into to Instagram and he says French. Well, that's good because you're in store. I've got a surprise for you guys today. Petra's over in Whistler. Hello, Petra. Great to have you here. Shale, hi. How do you? And we've got Udara says, hope you're doing great. I am doing fantastic. So we'll wait a few minutes for people to connect in for our live Q&A today. There's lots that we have to talk about, and I have a special guest that's joining me today, and we'll get to him in just a few minutes. Those of you who are already posting your questions, hold off on those for just a little bit. We'll definitely get to them. This time period we have together here from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Mountain Time is our traditional spot for answering all of your questions about Canadian immigration. And there are lots of things happening. There's tremendous suspense that's been occurring over the last little while, hasn't there? There's been a ton of suspense. Everybody's waiting for the instructions for the new post-grad work permit extension, not really extension, but the new 18-month work permit. We're waiting for that notification to come out. We're also anxiously waiting to see what's going to happen with express entry. The minister said July that he's going to be opening those up. And there's tons of speculation about what these occupation lists are actually going to look like. And we know they're working their way through Parliament. They're working their way through the process that all legislation goes through to become law. And it will give the minister a ton of flexibility. Now go back to the live Q&A that Alicia and I did last Thursday, and you can find that on the YouTube channel and wherever you're watching this. But go back and watch that one that we did last Thursday because we broke down the actual some of the proposed regulatory changes that are expected to be made to our immigration regulations and the act to allow the minister to select occupation. So yes, so lots of good stuff to talk about. Okay, we've got Larissa. She says, hi, nice to see you. Nice to see you, Larissa. Sean says he's got his visa stamp and COPR. That's a definite celebration. Awesome. Congratulations, Sean. That's fantastic. Good afternoon to you, Rahul, who's tuning in on LinkedIn. Sally is shouting out to Sally as well. And like I said, those of you who are asking questions, hang on for those questions just a little bit, and then we will get to those. Looks like Amy is still waiting for his express entry application, 60 days from remaining, the end of July for a decision. Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed for you, Amy. All right, let's jump over without further ado. And I'm going to introduce my special guest. I had a few teasers out there that he was going to be joining us. So let's slide over and welcome our guest, Cedric Maron. How are you doing, Cedric?
I'm doing really well, Mark. Thanks so much for having me here today. And I'm really excited to be joining the team.
Excellent. So Cedric is the newest associate with Holthe Immigration Law, and we are delighted to have him. Today is the very first day. We did a little bit of orientation this morning, and now we're throwing him to the wolves. Well, you guys aren't wolves, but you get the picture. He's getting his first introduction to live streaming, and he was totally on board to do this. And so I'm really, really excited. We're going to share a little bit of his background with you guys and just introduce him to you. And if we switch over to our firm website here, let's slide over here. You'll see when you go to our team and you scroll down there's my ugly mug. Boy, I got to update that picture. That's a pretty sweet one. Although you can see in the background here, you guys, let's see if I can click on here, right in the background over my shoulder here is the Saddle Dome in Calgary. And that Saddle Dome is the source of much pain and anguish and sadness in my life, given the fact my Calgary Flames got ousted by the Edmonton Oilers. And so they're no longer in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So, hey, I've got more time on my hands, so that's a positive. Let me slide back here and we'll pull Cedric in. So as we go down here, you'll see we've got Alicia and we have Chanel and we have Cedric. And so, you know, we're really excited to have him and Igor and the rest of the crew. But there you can get information on Cedric. And when you click on Speak to a Lawyer here, you will also see that we've got Alicia and Chanel, and Cedric is right here as well, which lists the areas of focus that he's going to be focusing on going forward. So we're delighted to have Cedric. So Cedric, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, thanks so much, Mark. I mean, I was born and raised in Ottawa, so a little bit far from Lethbridge, the other side of the country. But it's the nation's capital, and it's a very, very diverse city. And myself, I'm a francophone that lives outside of Quebec, and I am bilingual, so I will be offering services in French and English. Um, and what I really bring is really a lot of experience in decision making, and so I really develop skills uh, in skills and expertise into looking at claims, looking at things in detail, learning about new programs, and making decisions. So a little bit about myself: I went to school in Ottawa. I completed a civil law and a common law degree. I recently completed a master's of law as well, and I started my career at the federal court. At the federal court, I was providing advice to judges on immigration and refugee matters. The lawyers were arguing, the judge was sitting, he was hearing everything, and my role was to provide legal advice and provide legal research on what was happening in the courtroom. So I learned very quickly about the immigration, what to look out for, what are the problems with immigration applications, what can we avoid, and how do you interpret things. So that was really invaluable. Um, and over the last 5 years, I've decided more than 1,000 cases for the government of Canada and the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. So I bring a lot of decision-making experience to the table. And you know what? I'm really looking forward to work with a lot of the clients. You're working with people who want to do their own applications, who want to take ownership, and working directly with clients. That's a great thing that you were telling me about. The business model is great. How I can connect with clients, I can provide them legal advice, and we can deal directly with them.
Very cool.
Euh, Très brièvement, donc moi je peux m'exprimer en français. Donc si vous voulez des services juridiques en français, je vous encourage à m'écrire. Vous le savez peut-être déjà, mais vous pouvez obtenir des points supplémentaires pour votre profil de entrée express pour entrer au Canada. Dans certains cas, donc je vous encourage à m'écrire. Si vous êtes un francophone et vous voulez immigrer au Canada et vivre à l'extérieur du Québec en tant que francophone, c'est une option, une très belle option, puis je vous encourage fortement à m'écrire. Switching back to English, just encouraging French speakers to reach out to me. More than happy to meet with you and provide legal services in French. You're really a great model that we have going on. We can reach so many people, Mark, together.
Yeah. And we know with Express Entry, Cedric, that having the ability to speak French is a real game changer. At least in the current world that we have right now, there are up to 50 extra points for grabs if you have French language ability, right?
It's extremely competitive, right? With the COVID and no program specific draws for the Express Entry. It's really you need every single point, right? You can get 25 points if your French is good, and if your French is great, you can get up to 50 points. But it can make the difference between coming to Canada and not coming to Canada.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a few people giving you shout outs. So Amy says, Cedric seems happy to be a part of this. Well, I sure hope so. I guess we'll see after, like I said, after I've kind of thrown him into this and, he's just had the privilege of diving in and into this world of live streaming. So it's awesome. Patel here says, welcome, Cedric. Wish you good luck. So there's a
Thank you,
couple
Amy.
people
Thank
who
you,
are
Patel.
already giving you shout outs. Very cool. Very cool. All right. So what areas are you going to focus on initially when now that you're a part of the firm here? So if we flip over to just share our screen here and we go down to the consultation section for you, we've got a broad list, and obviously in both English and French, we've got that open for people. So yeah, do you want to talk a little bit about some of the areas that you're going to focus on initially?
Yeah, so you know, when we're talking about immigrating to Canada, we really want to make sure that we have all the information is presented to make it very easy for decision makers to grant your application, to not further complicate the process, to have everything up front in a very easy manner. And as a decision maker, understand that it's quite efficient when you see and you've talked about this, when you see a well prepared file coming before you. So the number one priority with my clients, Mark, is going to be making sure that we're being as helpful to the client and as helpful to the immigration officers to make it as smooth as possible to go in. Now, talking about more specific details, we want to make sure that we're taking advantage of all the different programs, that we're leveraging the provincial nominee programs, we're leveraging the express entry, your French speaking ability, and that we're really able to make sure the clients have the best foot forward. And we're not just talking about completing forms and review it, but more strategic advice when it comes to, hey, have you thought about making your application next year when you're going to have, more years of experience? Have you thought about actually coming to Canada to study before going to the express entry? So I'm really looking forward to providing more strategic advice on express entry, work permits, study permits as well. But also look more into detail as to how we can um, make sure that the application is perfect to avoid delays and errors. You're also going to see at the bottom here, we have visa reconsiderations. So I'm going to be writing some blog a little bit about what can you do if your visa, your study permit was rejected. What are the various options? In some cases, it could be judicial review, but I really look forward to bringing different aspects and strategic aspects forward to, if something was denied, how can we go forward and overcome that?
Awesome. That's fantastic. Now, one of the things you guys will know, and I think many of you already know, that on our website we have a bunch of blog posts that are available for all of you to review. And then when you go to our resource section, you click on blogs, you'll see that we have a number of of blog posts, including this one right here, which is our latest that was just released just 2 days ago. The secret to finding your correct knock. There are a bunch of blog posts on a variety of topics. And so as Cedric indicated, he's going to be releasing one on an area that we probably do as much, consulting and advising on as anything else. And that's when things go wrong. And let's face it, Cedric, people, for whatever reason, have a tendency to call us at the very last moment or when things have gone south, when problems have arisen and, they've either used a different representative, they've tried to do it on their own. And so part of the reason we're doing this, even this live Q&A today, is to give people as much proactive, advanced, a direction and just ideas on ways in which to avoid all of those problems. And so, yeah, so that is a huge part of what we do. All right. So I'm going to share one other screen here with everybody. As we know, and Cedric and I, we've been talking about this before we went live. In July, the minister has indicated that that's likely when the draws are going to resume, the no program specified draws. And if we slide over to the Canadian Immigration Institute site, some people, I think we already had some questions from people about when the express entry course is going to launch. Well, we have now, and we are just in the middle of launching and releasing a series of videos that are targeted specifically to getting ready for express entry in July. And as we scroll down here, you can see that once we get to the courses for express entry in particular, the cart is now open. And I think it should be open right now or later today, June the 1st, for you to be able to buy the on-demand express entry cart. So, it looks like it's not quite open. So it will be open here as soon as Igor flips the button to launch it. But in the midst of doing this, when we click on Get Free Top 7 Tips, right here, you can leave your name and your email address. And we are launching a series of, I think it's 7 essential tips. I should know, I've recorded the videos already, but essential tips on how to prepare now to get your express entry profile ready and give yourself the best chance of making it safely through that process. So make sure you go to the Canadian Immigration Institute. There should be a link in the description below. And then later today, the cart will be open and you can access it. A big part of this course, everyone, is the masterclass, which will be held June 27th to the 30th. Usually it's 5 days, but the reason that we don't have it for 5 days is because July 1st is, I'm going to put the pressure on Cedric now. What is July 1st in Canada?
It's Canada Day, so we have big celebrations around Canada.
Absolutely. And Mark is definitely not going to be doing a live Q&A on Canada Day. We're going to be celebrating, having a lot of fun. So it's a 4-day, 1 hour every evening. It goes from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. where you can ask me anything. And we decided to open the cart on June the 1st and then do the master class June 27th so that people would have time to go through all of those courses. And all of the lessons, all of the modules is over 10 hours of content that walk you through every part of Express Entry. So if you haven't done that, head over to here, click on this link, get the free top 7 tips, and enter your information in here. We have different streams and different curated content depending on if you're an immigration consultant or just a DIYer who's filing your own application. And also it helps us to know when we're preparing future content, whether or not you've already got your profile submitted or if you are well on your way. So, and then finally you can choose topics that are of most interest to you. And believe it or not, you guys, this drives the content that we produce. So wanted to give everybody a little bit of notification regarding that. So yeah, Cedric, we're super happy to have you as a part of the firm, and we're excited to, to get you set up so that you're all ready with your consultations. If you go to Cedric's page right at this moment, we're still in the process of linking his calendar for the consultation appointments, but you're also going to see Cedric popping in on some of the consults that I do as well. And we here at Healthy Immigration Law often take a team approach. So in many cases, you're getting, more than one lawyer who's working with you. So awesome. All right. Well, I don't know if there's any other, anything else, Cedric, that you wanted to cover, or you wanted to share. I can let you drop off here. I know you've got a bunch of stuff that you're working through with the onboarding process with all of our systems and getting connected with the technology that we use. But any last comments or thoughts before we bid you adieu?
Well, I just wanted to say for the Express Entry courses, one thing that I found was quite helpful was you had many templates, and you had many things to really help individuals make their own applications, and you have the sources there, right? You're not just speaking, and it's not just videos. Really, what it is, it's a detailed course, and I thought it was quite neat being able to go beyond the course and doing your own immigration file was excellent. On that note, thank you so much, Mark. Hi, everyone. I look forward to speaking with you en français ou en anglais, votre choix, another official language, and find strategic approaches to immigration. And very excited to be joining the team, Mark.
Awesome. Great to have you here, Cedric. All right.
Thank you.
Take care, my friend. All right. Well, that was awesome. We're super excited to have had Cedric tune in and connect with us. And to be a part of the Healthy Immigration Law team. So we're really, really excited to have him. All right. Oh, now this is the time. It is the moment when we get right into answering questions. And I know a lot of people have been posting questions. So now the question time is open. So jump on, make sure that you put a Q in front of your question, and I will get to that. And we'll start off with our super chats here. We've got a couple that have popped in here. So let's see what we've got. So first one here is Sneha. And Sneha says, I got an OINP invitation, international student stream. Okay, that's awesome. That's great. I graduated on April 2020. Does that still qualify me to apply even if I am over 2 years' time? So this is a perfect one to ring the bell and to say to Sneha, you need to connect over. We need to look at your history in much more detail. And so what I do is I slide over, and actually this one right here is the one I want. Go over here, click on Speak to a Lawyer, and book a consultation so that we can review everything in detail. Often, and we've seen this, oh, I got too many pages going here. Sneha, often what we see is programs, even with Express Entry, sometimes you'll receive a notification of interest, or you'll even receive an ITA, and just by the way in which you've answered the questions or set up your profile. Sometimes you can get invitations or notifications of interest when you don't qualify. But there's often ways in which we can kind of work around it. Immigration understands that there are, the system is not perfect. And sometimes it gives you opportunities that maybe you may not immediately have the ability to take advantage of, but there is some understanding of that. And so often there is ways to continue forward, even when you get the notification of interest, which I think is what you're talking about. So I recommend you slide over and book a consult. We can take a look at this and see if it is an issue. So, because obviously, even if I'm over 2 years' time, that is a factor, right? But the profile will reach out, and it's just automated for the most part. The OINP sets up the parameters, and then the system reaches out and pulls in everybody that's in the pool that fits within the parameters that they've set. So it depends on how you answer the questions in your profile, and we need to dive a little bit deeper. So I recommend you slide over, like I said, to our consultation page here and book a consult with any one of our lawyers. And like I said, Cedric, his consults here, you'll be able to click on that pretty soon. And I am here as well. So any of us, we're available to help. All right, let's go to the next super. This one is from Boris. And Boris says, what does the due date field in the GCMS notes really mean? It appears under every section. Is it next time an officer will look at your file? That is a great, great question. So within all of the systems within immigration has done the very, very best they can to try to automate things. And so there are timelines that affect you as an applicant. For example, you get an ITA, you have 60 days to complete your EAPR. So the system is defaulted that. And after 60 days, if you haven't responded and submitted your EAPR, then your invitation will automatically close, and your application will actually be canceled. And so what happens is you have to go back in and resubmit your profile. So that external facing timeline is there. When you're looking at the due dates within GCMS, yes, often those, and I can't speak specifically until I've had a chance to actually look at the GCMS notes that you're referring to, but generally speaking, those are internal timelines that the officers are set because they're expected to get, reach certain milestones all along the path of processing. And you can imagine what it's been like. I'm sure their whole system is full of red, overdue notifications as they're working through applications, but they have a limited period of time to get through an application and process it. And so even the steps that are within the control of the officers, the steps that are within control of other departments that they're interacting with, whether it's security or whatever the background checks things they're doing, they do have timelines that are set for them to complete their portion to then keep your file moving forward. So you're right on track with that, Boris. The reality is those due dates that are internal fields within GCMS, they're not outward facing for you. They're designed for immigration and the various interaction between officers doing different things to make sure that the application doesn't get lost and that it does move forward in the order and the speed at which they hope it to. All right. Okay, let's see what we have next. This one's from Maninder, and Maninder says, what should be the joining date on the job offer letter? I'm in India right now and want to apply accelerated tech pathway. Okay, once again, I'm going to ring this one right here, Maninder. And when it comes to applying through the accelerated tech pathway, I believe you're referring to the Alberta Immigrant Nominee Programs pathway. The joining date really is flexible. At the end of the day, if you're not in Canada right now, you're going to set the day that you expect. But it's one of those things that they're trying to capture people that are both in Canada and people that are outside Canada. And the way they set up these forms is not often, it doesn't have a dynamic approach to it. So it's a question that really isn't a critical part of the application, but they're still asking it because they want to get an idea of when they expect you to actually come. But yeah, as far as the joining date, you've got a lot of factors that have to, come into play before you can arrive. The same thing happens in the context of an employer applying for a labor market impact assessment, or you even submitting a work permit application for an employer. You may have a start date of June 1st, but if we were to go to India and look at today is June 1st. If you had a start date of July 1st, which is the date that your contract says, the reality is you're subject to the processing times of immigration. So it's not something that you get too hung up on, especially if it's forward looking, Meninder. But if you're in Canada and you're already working for the employer, well, the reality is then you know exactly what that joining date was because it's historical. So that is kind of how we look at things when it comes to that. But I recommend book a consult. That process is a new process. I spoke with the acting director at the beginning of the year when they launched it, and there was a lot of uncertainty about it. So anything that we can do to help anyone within our farm would be delighted to work with you. All right. Okay, let's jump back to some more questions here. Let's see what else we have as I get down to them. And we've got a good group of people that are watching. Once again, shout out to everybody who's listening on the Canadian Immigration Podcast, who's watching on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, even some of you Twitter folks out there. And next week I'll set up the Instagram. Okay, let's see what is next on our questions. Okay, let's jump to Sravia says, hey, Mark, Cedric, I'm doing a 1-year post-graduation diploma and my CRS score after 1 year work experience would be 522. That is super high. That's really high. What are my chances of getting PR with 1 year course? Well, if you really have a CRS score of 522, well, there's a significant chance if you have completed 1 full year of Canadian work experience that you're going to get drawn. If there's a no program specified draw, 522 is probably going to get you there. And I would be shocked if you weren't given an invitation to apply the very first draw, if it's done early in July. And yeah, so I think your chances are super, super high. And congratulations, my friend, on having a CRS score that high. That is really, really, really good. Okay. Ankit says, any news on the postgrad work permit extension? No. But remember, I'm going to remind all of you once again, the moment we get any word of it, please, please, please do not race to file your application immediately. Wait until that evening, because I'm going to do a special live focused on all of you international students in limbo. Well, you postgrad work permit holders who may be reaching the end of your postgrad or who have expired postgrads. Pro tip right now, make sure that you always maintain your status. Apply for a visitor extension if you're out of status. Don't let yourself just sit there. But the moment the Minister Fraser reveals the program delivery instructions and exactly which portal he wants these to be filed, I'm going to jump on and do a live that evening. Well, the moment I hear about it, I will go live and just talk about the moment, as much information as I know. And then if there's a new portal or whatever it might be, I'm going to go through the top things that, cause people problems. And the last time they did it, wow, I had a lot of consults with people that screwed it up and really they lost their opportunities. And so I don't want that to happen to you. So stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, get those notifications, ring the bells when you see that I've got a scheduled live coming up. Which, do I have a scheduled live? Let's see. Do I even have it set up here? I don't think I do. But with Alicia, maybe I can pull it up. Let's see. This one right here. I got the wrong screen here. So that one with Alicia is tomorrow. And tomorrow it's a different time. Oh, that's what I wanted to share with you guys. So those of you who are watching here and want to jump back tomorrow, I'm just going to pull up the YouTube channel. I'm going to show you. Note that there is a time change. Okay. So if we flip back here and we go to the YouTube channel right here, you will see that and make sure that you set a reminder on your calendar. This one is going to be at noon tomorrow, 12 p.m. Mountain Time. That's 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 Pacific Time, because I have meetings in preparation for an appearance that the Canadian Bar Association is making before Parliament. And so we've got a planning meeting that is going to be right at 11 at the same time that Alicia's live is supposed to happen. So yeah, so make a note of that one. Okay. All right, Naveen. Oh, this is a tricky one. I got an ADR request, but I removed 50% of the funds since I haven't heard from almost a year. Then is it fine now to take money from the mother? Okay. Once again, ring the bell. So if your funds have dropped and you now are getting what would be a gift deed from your mother, is yes, it is possible to top it up. Yes, you can fix it if you do it correctly, but you need to make sure that the gift deed and all those things, of course, those are all laid out in my course, are all prepared in advance and that you can carefully explain. Whenever you get ADR requests such as this, Naveen, we do a ton of these where we dive in and make sure that there is nothing that's going to trip you up. And how you answer those questions is really, really important. Every word that you put in there is important. It's not that officers are looking for reasons to refuse, but if for whatever reason they feel that you have no longer met the eligibility requirements, including settlement funds, yes, they can very quickly refuse your application. And then this almost a year that has passed where you've been in limbo can just disappear. So click on the link below, book a consultation with one of the lawyers, and we can make sure that you're doing it properly. In the course itself, for those of you who are just getting started with Express Entry, I've got templates, sample templates on what gift deeds should look like, and all of that's available to help you in your journey. Okay, here's another one. Oh, I get a lot of these questions. Syed says, can I leave the nominated province after staying there until I got my PR card? And what is the safest way to defend myself in case I was questioned in citizenship interview later? So for this one here, once again, I'm going to hit the triangle and I tell you, Syed, that this is not something that you have to, that you can take lightly. The fact that you're already planning on leaving once you get your PR card, I don't like that, my friend. I want you to actually give a legitimate shot for that province. I will never advise people to go. I'll never say, yep, as soon as you get your PR card, yep, you can head out, you can go whatever you want. Maybe that's what the law is, maybe. But the reality is you needed to demonstrate an intention to reside in that province. They had faith in you. They showed that, that they were willing to extend an opportunity to you that thousands and thousands of people would have done anything to get. And so it brings me a little bit of sadness when I hear of people that are thinking about changing. And there's been a lot of discussion over the last while about what happens in a citizenship interview. And are they going to see if there was any misrepresentation in your original P&P application if you didn't even stay there? So what do? I advise people to stay away from the edge of the cliff. So I've talked about this in the past where you can imagine a horse-drawn carriage, a buggy, is driving down this narrow, winding pass of mountains. And you have two choices, really. You can drive as close as you want to the edge and still not fall off, or you can stay as far away from that edge as possible and never run the risk of falling off. So if you're planning on leaving right away before you even really gave a shot at that province, then yeah, you expose yourself to potentially, now there hasn't been a lot of case law on this, potentially an officer in the course of a citizenship application questioning whether or not you played by the rules when you obtained your PR. And if there was any misrepresentation or fraud or anything found within that process, they do have the ability to unravel this stuff. So, Syed, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms in Canada allows for freedom of mobility. People can move back and forth. And yes, if there comes times where people can leave provinces and go to others, even when they were nominated. In fact, I had a consultation with clients just earlier this week, and we had this discussion. They had lived there for a number of months. They'd worked so hard. They'd given up job opportunities in other provinces. And the nature of their employment was such that, and their industry and the institutional nature of the management experience they had was that in those provinces that they were at, there really were very, very few opportunities, but they had given it a real genuine shot. And I said, yeah, absolutely, you can move. They had job offers and promotions in a different province. And they had gone, quite a while in that province to try to make things work. Like I said, including giving up and quitting jobs to stay in that province. So there you go. Long answer, Syed, but it's something that I get questioned a lot about. Okay, let's see here. I'm just going to do double check here. Okay, no other supers. All right, let's keep zipping down here through. Let's see what's next. Okay, Manpreet over in YouTube says, I continued my work online as a sales manager in my previous Indian company from Canada. on the study permit. Can I claim 40 hours for FSW before start of course while I stayed in Canada? This one, absolutely, Manpreet, is a consult. Please, please slide over here because I'm not going to answer this one. It's just, yeah, I need way, way more information to be able to guide you. Slide over here, book a consult with one of the lawyers here, myself included, and I can go through that in detail, but I need a whole lot more information, my friend, before I'm able to say, yep, you can claim it or not. And there's a lot of different factors. Possibly, but you know, as is always the case, you have to do it correctly. Okay, let's see here. Okay, here's a good question from Shale. Shale says, can a postgrad work permit holder co-found an LLC? Okay, well, in Canada, a limited liability company, I'm not sure exactly what you mean, but traditionally we have limited companies, or LLC is kind of an American concept, although, you know, whatever. I get what you're asking here. Can that experience work as a co-founder used for a CEC application letter? No. If it's considered to be self-employed and you haven't been able to establish yourself as clearly an employee, then you know, and when you're the major shareholder and director of a company, I've seen routinely immigration will refuse to accept that as self-employed work experience. Even in some cases where I've seen people who've set themselves up and paid them a wage as an employee, there's been pushback. So there's significant risks with that, Shale. And I've had, once again, lots of conversations with people who, as postgrad work permit holders, have a great business opportunity and they decide to proceed down that path. Now, for the purposes of CEC, like I said, self-employed work experience in Canada doesn't count. So you need to make sure that you're structuring things so that you are not, or could not be seen to be self-employed. Okay. So once again, consult can help to navigate that. All right. Let's see here. Jama, I'll give you a shout out from South Africa. Great to have you connecting in. Okay. Okay. And this one, let's see what we have next here. Okay. Some people are, Jose, he's asking questions about switching between the consultant certifications. And you know what? I don't have an answer to that, my friend. So he's asking, is a registered RISIA, do they need to take the ICCRC exam or EPE again in case they want to switch from RISIA to RCIC? That's a question you're going to ask the college, my friend. I don't know that. Yep. And Naveen says mother has a gift deed. Yep. And so, like I said, you know, you were asking about topping up your funds with the help of a parent because you had to use some in the interim, you know, when you're waiting for your EAPR to be processed. Naveen, yes, and we have lots of samples in the course that are available. Okay. See, I'm trying to find questions that are general that will work for everyone. And I'm also trying to pull from not just YouTube, but some other sources as well. Okay. Anjpreet, this question comes in from LinkedIn. She says, I have almost 2 years of experience. Is it right time to apply for express entry now? Ring the bell. The reality is, if you're outside of Canada and you're going through the federal skilled worker program, I'll be honest, unless you have French or some other connection to Canada, to get the maximum skill transferability points, those magical extra 50 points that make all the difference in the world. And really, you know, that's the difference between having a shot at an ITA and not. 3 years of foreign work experience at a minimum is what you need, because then it triggers the ability to get those extra 50 points for, say, 3 years of skilled work experience plus a CLB 9, or at least an 8 in listening and 7 in the other abilities of the IELTS, or a 9 across the board for the CELPIP. So those combinations really, really give you a big boost with your express entry. But the problem is only once you get 3 years of foreign work experience can you combine that with the language to get those points. So, okay, let's see here. Okay, Karen says the BCPMP was done in November 2020. Express entry AOR was February 2021. From the last 8 months, West account shows on hold. Okay, I don't know what that means. Ultimately, Wes, you should have had that all set up at the time in which you submitted your EAPR. So I'm not sure what that means. Does it impact my eligibility, or does positive Wes assessment on which EE file submitted will be considered conclusive? When you've already received that, like, you should be entering in the educational credential assessment report. So I'm not quite sure what this relates to with your account on hold. I'm assuming that when you're filing your application, if that's the case, when you submitted it, that you had your Wes report. Okay. Naveen is still asking questions, and it may be possible, if it's done correctly, to take money from a parent as a gift deed post ADR. Yeah, it may be possible, but you have to structure it correctly. And that's why I ring the bell. And this is something really, really important, Naveen. I recommend, because it can impact on your ability to proceed forward. You need to do it correctly. And a consult, we can at least lay things out for you and make sure that you're handling it properly. Okay, let's see here. Next question. We've got a few that are jumping in. Okay. Okay, here's one from Sarika. Sarika says, so now after permanent resident submission on file, can we try for a spousal visitor visa? Well, there's nothing ever stopping you from making the attempt. But often when you're applying for visitor visas in the course of a PR application being processed, depending upon the country that you're coming from, some offices will use that as a significant ground for refusing. And when it comes to demonstrating temporary intent while having a permanent resident application in the queue, it's possible. But it really, there's a lot of factors that are even outside of your control, like the visa office and the country that you're coming from. So there's nothing stopping you. It's not going to harm your PR application if you apply for a visitor visa, if you're supposed to come and then it gets rejected. So those options are available. Okay, let's see what's next here. Okay, Sarika says, my husband is a Canadian PR. We're going to submit my spousal PR file. How much time it will take? Well, we can look at that. If you're outside of Canada and you're going through the family class, if we slip over here to the website and then let's just pull up IRCC processing, you now can rely fairly with a fair degree of certainty that these processing times are going to be pretty close. So we'll go to family sponsorship. I'm assuming you're probably outside Canada, so we'll say living outside Canada. And then processing times. Right now, they're listed at 22 months. Now, that could come down. And remember, that's applications submitted 22 months ago are being processed. But as they work through the system, as they get some of their backlogs sorted out, that time could come down. Remember that I have a spousal sponsorship course to help you walk your way through that process. So I strongly encourage you to slide over to the Canadian Immigration Institute website. And if we slide back here and I share my screen with you fine folks, you'll see right here that we're going to do another one here, late summer of 2022. You can reserve your spot right now. And the reality is if I get a bunch of people that are queued up here, then maybe I will do it sooner. But you can click on this link and you can reserve your spot here. And then I talk all about the various information that I cover in the course, as well as all the lessons, the modules, everything from the basics, preparing the forms, gathering your documents, and submitting and compiling the application. And you can see there's over 340 minutes of premium content. And in this case, the same thing, there will be a masterclass. So so that is how things are structured. So definitely head over there. And obviously, if you want to book a consult, we can help you with any questions you have about spousals. All right. Okay. Osama says, hey, Mark, I'm from Morocco, but I work and live now in France. Which police certificate I need to show if IRCC, from my country of nationality or my country of residence? Well, when it comes to police certificates, generally speaking, outside of express entry, the rule is any country that you've lived in for 6 months or longer since turning 18, you need to provide a police certificate from that country. So 6 months in a row. For the purposes of express entry, we generally see that they only go back 10 years. So countries that you've lived in for the past 10 years, more than 6 months in a row. So that's how you choose. Okay. Okay, Nixon says, how long will it take for a PNP Express Entry online application now? Well, you guys, we've got the sources here, don't we? We can slide right back here to the processing times and check it out. So economic immigration right here. Then we go to provincial nominees. And then it says online via Express Entry. Yes. And then we click continue and it's listed at 22 months. So that is what immigration is posting. And I think we can rely on that with a fair amount of certainty. Okay, let's see here. What is next? Let's see. We've got multiples. Okay. Cheatin, hey, good to see you. Thanks for connecting in on LinkedIn here. Okay, our DLIs required to inform IRCC when a student withdraws from a program. Also, do financial institutions report to IRCC if a GIC is withdrawn? Great questions. I don't have answers to either of those, Cheatin. Neither of those questions. So I don't know the rules and regulations associated with DLIs, and I don't really advise too many schools, whether they're public or private. So I don't have an answer to that in terms of what the obligations are of the institution to inform IRCC. So I can't say one way or another. And also in terms of what financial institutions do and their interactions with IRCC, I don't have an answer for that one either. So good question, Cheatin. So I believe you as a lawyer have the ability to research that. So I'm going to challenge you to do that and then pop in another live Q&A, and I will remember Cheatin's question. And in fact, I am going to make a note of it. I'm going to take a screenshot of your question, Cheatin, and I'm going to see if you can come back and show if you are a smart researcher and see if you can get an answer and share it with the rest of us. All right. Good stuff. See you guys. I do not have an answer for everything. Okay. Okay, let's see what's next here. Okay, John McLean says, our passport request received 1st of October 2021 for the spousal open work permit, but our passports were held up until now because I'm a police officer here and our passports will be expired at September 2022. John, this sounds one that really I encourage you to book a consult. This is definitely something that you don't want to mess around with. Yeah, the delays and why things are being held up, expiring passport September 2022. This is difficult. If there's a way for you to start requesting a new passport without the original that you have right now, I would consider that. But if not, you're in limbo. You're in a waiting game. But book a consult and let's see what we can do. Okay, so Raj connecting in on Facebook, and he's connecting on the Canadian Immigration Institute Facebook page. Welcome, Raj. He says, hi, Mark. I've been a keen watcher of your live Q&A. Any idea when will IRCC work on 2,000K backlogged work permits applied in September? Yeah, we know that they've been working on those suckers. So back, I think we looked, every week I look, and I think the highest I saw was 54 weeks in India. So if we slide back to here and we pull up temporary, and then we choose work permit from outside Canada, and then we'll just select India. Let's see. India is a good indicator because it's the worst, almost the worst. Some African countries are just as bad. But let's just see what we've got here. So 41 weeks. So you can see they're working their way down. And because they were at 53, 54 weeks, I would say 3 weeks ago. And consistently every week it seems like they're dropping a little bit down. So when they'll actually get through and clear up those backlogs, it's really hard to say. But the processing times are working down. So yeah, it's crazy how many of those backlogs. And I feel for you guys. I really do. Okay. Okay. YK, I'm going to ring the bell again. He says, I applied for PNP February 2021, got an ADR February 16th. I've submitted the documents and my file was transferred in May from Sydney to Etobicoke. I got ADR again for Schedule A and let's see. Excuse me. Let's see if we've got the continuation here. It's kind of cut off. Okay, YK. I'm scrolling through everything. I don't see the remainder of your question, but all I can say is you've got some serious issues that you need to deal with, YK. And I've got some serious concerns with getting 2 requests in that short period of time. So they're definitely looking for something. There's definitely some challenge. I highly recommend that you book a consult so that we can go through. Often when I go back through things, I can see, because I review it just as if an officer would. I review all of the information that you've submitted in your application, the forms, and if there are inconsistencies, I can usually identify them. But yeah, this is something that's super serious. I don't know when your ADR needs to be posted, but responded to the second one. But I highly recommend that you slide over to our website right here and book a consult right away with the nearest availability that you have. Okay, that's all I can say about that. Should you be concerned? Yes, you should. Absolutely. Okay, next up here. Yeah, lovely world here. I feel just terrible about this caregiver pilot. It's just been a complete disaster. And it just breaks my heart to hear so many people who are stuck. We're advocating, we've provided submissions to the government. I think you guys know, I'm the immediate past chair of the Canadian Bar Association's National Immigration Section. And if you go here, I'm just going to show you how to find the work that we're doing. And we produce a ton of submissions. So if I Google here, CBA, National Immigration, let's say executive here. We'll start with that. So if we pull this up, you can see right now, I dropped off last September. So Kyle is our current chair. There's Lisa, vice chair. Rob is the secretary. I'm the immediate past chair right here. But on the left side, you can see here our submissions and resolutions. So these submissions are submissions that our section has prepared and sent to immigration on a number of topics, a number of them. And when it comes to the caregiver pilot and the problems associated with it, I can't remember exactly where that submission is, but we've identified this back in 2020 as being a huge issue for the government. And yeah, my heart breaks for you. So we're doing everything that we can to advocate. Ultimately, this is the decision of Minister Fraser. Okay. Okay, I'm not quite sure this one who's watching on the Express Entry Law private Facebook group. It's great to have you connecting in from there. Duration PR work permit. Okay, I'm not quite sure what that question is. I'm not quite sure what what you're looking for when it comes to work permits, maybe that are supported by permanent residents, a bridging. Often they'll issue them for 2 years, but officers have the ability to, it will never be longer than the duration of your passport. Well, sometimes there's errors made, but generally they won't go beyond the expiry date of your passport. But yeah, often we see them 2 years if they're open work permits, sometimes 1 year, but yeah, that's the range. Okay. Let's see here. And I see Manpreet has been posting a bunch of questions. I continued my work online as a sales manager in my previous Indian company from Canada on study permit. Can I claim the 40 hours for FSW before start of course, which while I stayed in Canada? So Manpreet, it may be possible to do that, but you have to structure it correctly. You have to explain it correctly. And so in those situations, you need to be really careful. And that's why I always, recommend that people book a consult. My goodness, if you book that consult, we can set you, like there's no guessing. Right? This is legal advice we're providing to you as immigration lawyers. And you can rely on that advice going forward, but it's very difficult to give someone specific legal advice. And really, it would be reckless of me to do that here because this is so much more than just general information, because I need to understand how this all plays out and how the work arrangement was structured, compensation, all those things, because there's a lot of different levels, even how you were paid that can run into this. And I've seen this before. So yeah, Manpreet, I recommend that you book a consult. And there should be, like I said, there should be a link for you to do that below. If any of you are wondering, well, I don't see the link, Mark, I can't find it. All you have to do, excuse me, is to go to our firm website, which is holthylaw.com. And I don't think I can show this to you. Let's see if I can adjust the screen a bit. Oh, I'm going down. Oh, you can just about see it right there. I think I can't get it any closer, but oh, there, I've got it. Okay, but now I can't get it wider. Oh, there we go. So there's the website. Okay, so holthylaw.com. There's the website. Wow, that was fun. Okay, now let's try to resize this so it's normal again. Oh, that'll be interesting. Okay, hey, that's not too bad. It snapped right back. There you go, holthylaw.com. maron.com, and you can click right here to speak to a lawyer, and it will take you right where you need to go. Stay tuned though, because our firm website will be changing. All right. Next up, let's get to our next question. And we're getting through a lot. I'm pretty happy with the ground that we've been able to cover so far. So you guys are all asking great questions. Okay. Harpreet says, sir, I wanted to know why some of the students get correspondence letter, refusal letter after getting a passport request. Passport request letter, any specific reasons? Harpreet, not a clue. No clue whatsoever. If I was involved in the actual submission of the application, then I would be in a much better position to understand. And the black box that happens within immigration is not nearly as black boxy as you would anticipate if you understand how the processes work. So sometimes there's mistakes. I saw someone recently who received instructions from immigration that was flat out wrong. So they had a question, they were adding a spouse, and they basically said your application has been finalized and there's no opportunity to add the spouse, which was totally horrible, wrong advice. In fact, it could have left that person barred from sponsoring that spouse forever. Now they would have had a lot of, ability to defend that because of the improper advice and the incorrect information IRCC sent them. But if you don't know and you just assume and you take it for face value, then yeah. But often when you understand how the systems work, how the laws work, how the policy, the program delivery instructions, ministerial instructions, how those all work from a legal standpoint, then you know when, what immigration's doing or what they're saying is BS, when it's not something that's actually accurate or limiting in the way it is. Another thing that really irritates me is these letters that people are getting when they file a work permit application, these maintain status letters, which are just wrong in law. They put artificial end dates on it. Now, some employers are treating that as if, that's when their maintained status comes to an end. It's just wrong. Like why they put that end date on, there should have been more of a caveat other than a mere statement on the website saying, if it's maintained, please understand that it's still subject to being extended. But we just put that maintained so that there's some date. Awful, horrible, but IRCC does it. Okay, we've got a couple more minutes. We'll make sure we always get to any supers. So let's jump back here and we'll wrap it up here. Zainab. Okay, let's see if we've got this here. So we've got to get to. Okay, here is the question. Okay, Zainab says, one of my ex-companies changed its address after I left. So some letters are on the old letterhead. Others, for example, the reference letter is on the new letterhead from different associate HR. Solutions, please. Well, you just need to make sure that your file is updated. If there's been a change and the person that signed the letter is no longer there, or the company has changed addresses, then I will go and I will update through a web form the file so that the officers know that there has been a change. And if they're trying to find the company or vet things, that they know that, there's going to be a little bit of a disconnect between the information you provided originally. But now you're updating it. So that's how I do it. And if you do it correctly, Zainab, you're never going to have problems. And we talk about that in the course. We talk about how to do those things and in our consults. So, all right, let's see next here. Next super. Okay, the next one is Rashmi. Okay. Any news on Bill C-19? When will it happen? Bill C-19 is working its way through Parliament. And so we don't have any idea at this stage when Bill C-19 is actually going to make its way through. It's got a lot of steps to go. I can't see any world where that's going to get through in the month of June. I guess they could rush it through. It's possible. It's possible, I guess, July, but boy, it's got a lot of levels to go through, and I think it would be really tough. Okay. All right. That was a great question. Okay. I'll jump on and do just a couple more, and then we'll wrap this up. I know we've got to a lot of people, so I'm really, really happy with our questions today. Just getting people both with supers and otherwise. Okay. I'll finish with Apeen here. And lots of people ask this question. So, hi, Mark. I'm trying to get a job offer via the job bank on the temporary foreign worker plan, but it's been seemingly difficult. Please, how can you help? Epine, the reality is Canada is getting into a much, much stronger economy. As that happens, more and more companies are going to be looking to hire foreign nationals to fill the gaps that exist within our labor pools here in Canada. In the mid to early 2000s, Alberta, for instance, was booming. In fact, some of our fast food restaurants had to close at 6 p.m. in the evenings because they didn't have staff to work them. And that's a world that we're returning to. The economy is heating up. Employers can't find workers, and they're going to need to point and find you guys. And so I know it's tough right now at the job bank, and the reality is the best ways to get jobs in Canada are through people that you know. I'm going to slide back to our firm website again, and I'm going to click right here on resources and go to blog. Those who are asking questions, and this is stuff that you need to be aware of if you ever want to get involved with people that are trying to recruit for positions in Canada. Chanel did a great blog post. As we scroll down here, we'll find it. Let's see, it's the guy with the suitcase. Yeah, right here. And this is, oh, wrong one, not that one. I grabbed the wrong one. Okay, let's see if we can find the one that is the job offer. Maybe I pulled through, I already walked through it. Miss Rep, proof of education, express entry. Oh, I must have already scrolled past it. I'm losing my mind here. Let's see, spousal, provincial nominees, top 10 reasons refusal. How long? Oh, here we go. All you need to know about job offers in Canada. I went right past it. Interesting. Oh, I did have the right image, but I just had the wrong title. So Chanel wrote this one back in December, and it's a really, really good overview of the process. Chanel was in recruiting. So she worked for a recruiting company in a prior life before immigrating to Canada. So definitely head in here, look at and watch this, because it'll educate you so that you understand and you can be protected from unethical and illegal behavior of some people who are claiming they have job offers for you. So be aware of what your rights are, and this blog post is going to help you. Make sure you head over to healthylaw.com, click on resources, then blog, and they'll take you right here to all of our previous content, which is growing every single day. All right. Okay, we're going to end with that one. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Another great live Q&A. It was awesome to have Cedric join. And those of you who are tuning in late and didn't get a chance to meet Cedric, if we scroll over here, you can see our team now has myself here, and we have Alicia and Chanel, and the newest member of our team based in Ottawa, Cedric Maron. And Cedric is our bilingual counterpart. So if you have questions in French, well, the reality is Chanel and Alicia, all three of them speak French. I don't. I speak Portuguese. So if you're coming from Portugal, Brazil, Angola, Mozambique, Macau, where else do they speak? Guinea-Bissau, Portuguese. I am fully, I'm happy to connect with you in Portuguese there. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Another great live Q&A. Thanks for your questions. Remember that the Canadian Immigration Institute is your source of DIY courses. It's always the main pillar sponsor of these live Q&As. As we slide over here to my screen once again, you can see the spousal course is going to be launching later in the summer. You can reserve your spot. But right now is the time. I don't think it's quite connected in. If I click on here, it's Igor will be having this updated today, but we are going to open up the cart today for the express entry course so that you can get access to the over 10 hours of on-demand content to start your journey of preparing. You will also see that when you click on this link here, get free top 7 essential express entry tips. We have a series of emails that are going out with essential tips that are only for those who subscribe, only for those who provide us with their email address. You will get access to these top 7 essential express entry tips to help you prepare now for the July relaunch of hopefully the no program specified draws. So go to the Canadian Immigration Institute site, and when you click on at the very top here, explore courses right here, it will drop you down to here, and then scroll a little bit more to express entry course. And yes, and then watch, because this is going to launch today. So the cart will be opening right away. All right. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. And we will see all of you fine folks tomorrow at noon, where I will be doing my live with Alicia. Here's the promo. And just one other reminder here, it says 11 a.m., but it will actually be 11 p.m. So make sure. Oh, I'm in the wrong screens. I'm dancing around here. Sorry, guys. Make sure that when you head over here to the Canadian Immigration Institute's YouTube channel, you will see here that this is scheduled for 12 and not 11. Okay. All right. Thanks so much. And we will see you guys tomorrow. Take care.